Yes, hello everyone. We are a bit late, obviously, as you said, someone said late over passion. But yeah, we're here before the game starts. Preview for the sporting game is a big game, probably bigger than most expected it will be, but it is important. 2-2. We need a win to go into the next round. Jesus is back is a big plus, and as you can see, Curran is not here, he's on his way to the game. Um, but before we get into everything, how you feeling about the game, George?
Interesting. I think the lineup's very interesting, I'll be honest. I think that in terms of the game, we should be fine. We have more than enough quality. And with their suspensions, both in terms of both their center backs and their midfielder that started, I think that, um, you know, it'll be a fairly easy game, a much more routine game. I don't think we'll have as much trouble with transitions as well as the away leg. So I think it'll be a good game, but I will say I'm upset with the Kieran Tierney, and I do think that it probably spends the end to his Arsenal career. It screams very much a Eddie Nketiah like um, of kind of admission from last year when we have an opportunity to use the squad and kind of give them rhythm. And when you do have players that you're forced to ask them to kind of be a part of your squad in a run in, you need them to be fit with momentum. And I just don't see a reason why Kieran Tierney wouldn't be able to start in this game. As far as replacements go, he's probably the best quality replacement we have positionally. If you go throughout the squad, left back is something that we are blessed. And regardless of what you think on his future, if you're going to be rotating, and we do have a kind of a rotated 11 here, he's one of the first ones that I would put on the list. And I don't know if you don't play him in this game, then what game do you play him in? And I don't know how I feel about relying on Zinchenko's fitness guarantees for a run in with a lot of games coming up. Like, I think we're going to have to use somebody. And then people are going to be upset when you use a Kieran Tierney when he's out of kind of momentum and form. So it's
It's not
not
the
something that I'm happy with.
It's not the first time we saw something like this last season with Eddie, as you said, with Sambi, with Nuno. Um, he just didn't put in players that we needed, and then expects, as he will probably next Europa League round, will put someone on who hasn't played 20 plus minutes in months. And Kieran didn't play much at the World Cup because obviously Scotland didn't do well, but like that's a lot of time to not play any football, and then a lot of expectation. Like people now do expect a double or at least a semi-final in the Europa, and that's always been expected. We don't know who we will get, but a lot of that does rely on how your players, who you bring in, the Reece Nelsons, the Vieiras, all of them, Kiwi or whoever it may be, you have to rely on them. And now they should be getting regular. Like Tierney should have had maybe at least 150 minutes in these two legs, and he may get 10, which is annoying. But apart from that exclusion, do you still trust our team to put them away? Because you,
Yeah, for sure. Like I did expect a stronger lineup. I did expect that Turner wouldn't start personally because I feel like the tie was still in the balance. And we're getting to the point. Well, we need to win this game 100%. But from this point on, I don't expect there to be a much more rotated side, let's say, because we're approaching the end stages of the competition, and at this point, you need to guarantee that you put your teams away because it's really quarterfinals, semifinals, finals at this point. So no reason not to. But in terms of kind of just the 11 that we see, I love that Saka finally got a break. I mean, on one hand, you're upset that Kieran Tierney didn't get a replacement in terms of a sub, and then he does something that he never does in terms of giving Saka a rest. So you have to get a little bit of, you give a little and you take a little. So I'm happy with that. And I'm happy with the midfield. I think everybody, regardless of what you felt on replacements, the midfield was something that we all felt would happen. Jorginho, Xhaka, Vieira. So I'm hoping that he has a very good game. And it's interesting that he's got, Martinelli and Nelson in these kind of high and wide touchline winger roles. I think we're going to see a very similar system to the Centurion City one that he did in 2017-18. So I think he's using a lot of that influence in terms of the lineup because we've got, Tommy Asu that's like almost a pseudo kind of Kyle Walker role. And I think, Zinchenko's going to do what he did in that side. And, Jorginho's going to play in a little bit of a Rodri role. Do I like it? I'm not a big fan of it. No. But I think that's definitely what he's trying to do. given who he put in. And I am excited to see how Reece Nelson's going to perform on the right wing. I've always felt that we ask him to play the left wing because of what the system demands us to do. But I think individually, he's always been a right winger. So I actually think in this role, he's actually going to be very, very good. I think he'll have a great game. And I do think Jesus scores, which is actually something that he needs. His drought is a little bit ridiculous. So when you have a look at it, the right-hand side's kind of fluxed a little bit. I think in the end, they'll end up doing quite well.
I do agree on that Reece point because we've always felt his decision-making is a bit lacking. He does take a long time, and just a similar idea with putting Ødegaard on the left, he just cut off certain angles. But on this, I think Zaha was out, and I think he's still trusting Ayew a bit too much. Needs to bring Eze back in the lineup because when he did have Eze or at least Zaha, I think they have enough to create from 3 players, despite the system not creating much. But yeah, it's not looking as good as I thought it would be. And
it's probably at the expense of going to the Palace preview, but like really quickly also, I think he's changed a lot too. I mean, remember at the start, we were very impressed with his press. I remember when we went in, that was something like, even if you believed in Vieira, you felt at the start of the season, their press was immense. And I was like, where did this come from? That has been gone in like the last couple months. So I think their slide in form kind of came with that press going. And of course, we know that he likes the pensioners. He doesn't like to trust in the youth.
Use his youngsters at all.
No. So yeah, difficult one, but that might be a little bit more of a Palace preview. But look, in terms of kind of what we might be able to see, I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about the Kieran Tierney thing. We probably already went through it, so I don't want to go over old ground. But for you, what do you think this left hand and right hand side dynamic is going to look like? Because they've got 2 tricky wingers in Trincao and Marcus Edwards that are basically going to carry their threat. But do you feel that we've just got too many players now in the first phase of buildup that press that they might do is going to be kind of non-existent? Because most of their joy came from Turner mistakes and of course Zinchenko, in transition. But a lot of them came from, Matt Turner putting us a little bit under pressure. So what do you feel like the Sporting press is going to handle against our, in essence, first choice kind of back 4 or 5?
Yeah, at home, I think Zinchenko probably does have a better performance with Gabriel behind. I think the transitions will be a lot better controlled. He's better indoors than Kiwior. He's just faster than Kiwior. But yeah, as you said, the mistakes did come from were self-inflicted. Like a lot of us passing, a lot of us not tracking runners. Saka was a lot deeper. I don't think he will go to put Reece deeper as he did Saka last week. I think Martinelli may have to do a bit more tracking. Our press probably will be a lot better with Jesus instead of Trossard as the central. But I do think the build-up with our main back 4 will be a lot better than last week. And hopefully with Jorginho probably leading the progression, it will be a lot more composed. I hope we don't get caught in the counter because I really don't like the left channel with sometimes Jorginho being caught out of place. But I am confident that our defense will be a lot better this week than it was last week.
To be fair, when you have a look at kind of the midfield, where look, we know that Jorginho will be flanked by Zinchenko and Tomiyasu. So from an initial standpoint, you'd feel that Tomiyasu can help Jorginho in recovery of second balls. But I'm with you. I feel as though the transition, and we saw the threat. I mean, Sporting went vertical quite a bit in that game, so they know that that's the threat. They're going to try to attack it and expose it, but beyond us having to maybe ask Zinchenko to be a little bit less freedom based, I think he needs to stick to his position a little bit more. That was half the problem. Like when Tomiyasu came in, I don't think he did something amazing that Zinchenko couldn't have done. He just stuck to his position and didn't roam as much. And when he chose his moments to drift into midfield, of course he doesn't have the quality in possession, but it was just about positioning when he chose to go in the middle versus sticking at left back. And that balance wasn't done really at all versus Sporting. So when we do it, that's cool. But I think one of the big questions I probably had is, look, if you've got Zinchenko and you've got Tomiyasu in that middle 3 that are flanking Jorginho, why wouldn't you have a little bit more of an adventurous midfield selection than Granit Xhaka? Now, I understand that, second balls are something that he's going to have to worry about. And in isolation, you say, listen, this team transition, we need Shaka there. But at the same time, you almost put the transition threat of Zinchenko over Kieran Tierney. So if your logic is I'm worried about second balls and I'm worried about transition control, that's why I need Shaka. No problem, I get that. But then it doesn't really make sense to kind of organize the team that he has. It's very attacking. It's very much a case of pushing people forward. He's got the wide wingers and Martinelli and Nelson that are going to hug the touch line. So Shaka's going to find himself in the left half space receiving ball to feet. I, I'm just struggling to understand. Maybe what we might see is a switch where in Sporting, if people remember, Zinchenko and Shaka switched a bit. I actually think that with this, we may see Zinchenko a little bit higher and Shaka a little bit deeper a lot more often. And so you might have Zinchenko receiving in that half space a bit more than Granit Xhaka.
You think that is just to mitigate the risk of Zinchenko being caught 1v1 with Edwards?
100%. But also in possession, because I feel like he wants something. Well, he needs something else in the left half space when you've got two wingers stretching the play. If you're not going to have your fullback providing that width, then it forces underlaps and a lot more running in the middle of the park. And Fabio Vieira on his own is not enough. Jesus will drop as well, in the left channel. But in terms of offering somebody else in there to combine with, Jesus, when he does drop in the left half space, he's going to want to do it a bit more with Zinchenko, a little bit high and wide. So I do wonder if he's got this weird thing where in attack, Zinchenko is higher than Granit, and maybe asking a bit more of Zinchenko to run back, or at least, Xhaka to stop the transition threat, and then they switch. If you are settled into kind of a low block, and you do have Sporting with a really large amount of possession, and you got to go 4-4-2, maybe they switch. But I do have this sneaky suspicion that he's going to push Zinchenko high and maybe Granit a little bit deeper, because there is that threat. And I also just don't see a logic for having Granit Xhaka that high on a Sporting team that I'm assuming we're going to pen in. Like, the whole point of having this 11 is to pen in Sporting in their own half, right? So I don't know how much we're going to need his off the ball running when you've got such a low block that you're facing, right? So that's the question mark that I've got. Do we see Zinchenko in more traditional midfield and central role, like zones, a bit more in possession? I think we know how we build up, but I'm just wondering, once we camp out in the half, do we kind of switch those roles a bit just to give us something more in the left half space? What do you think about that?
I do think we will need more in the left half space. As you said, we will probably have them deep. We did have them deep a lot in the second half, and we did find it hard, apart from Tomiyasu trying to whip crosses and Tomiyasu dribbling 1v1 to create. We didn't really create much from open play last week, so we will have to try a lot more, I think, to drag out their centre backs, commit their centre backs, get them on a card, get them maybe in a couple thousand. Need runners in behind Jesus when he does drop. Reece, Martinelli are very willing to make diagonal runs in behind the striker. And with Jesus, we are better able to find those runs. And Vieira, probably the best final ball or top 3 final ball in our team. So we'll be able to find those spaces in behind. And usually in probably 90% of the Emirates games this season, we're literally playing in one half for at least 40, 50 minutes of the game. So if it is like that, a lot of movement will be needed, and Zinchenko's final ball can't be the way it's been the past month, maybe 2. His final ball has been very inconsistent, very poor. He has shot a lot, but I think that's come with him rushing, him being a lot more frustrated at time. He just takes pop shots. He has taken shots over the bar, and he is fouling a lot more. Like, second half of the season, he's had 3 fouls. Before that, he had 0. So I do think a lot of our success does run through him. He does have the most touches in the team. So if we do what you're suggesting, I am a bit more confident that we contain Marcus Edwards. It is very hard to contain someone of that quality for 90 minutes, especially the space that we're going to give him if we do pin them. But I'm not sure he will have a good game, Zinchenko. Just the patch of form he's in, I don't think he will have a consistent 90 minutes. I hope he does, but I've felt for a long time that he probably does need not a rest just to be benched. But Arteta doesn't do that with his quote unquote favorites. But I think before we get into the predictions, I wanted to Karen had something to say about the game. He isn't here, but he did make a little video for you guys. So let's hear what Karen thinks on the game.
Hi guys, hope everyone's doing well, and apologies I can't make the screen, but as you've probably heard from George or from Chris, I am currently en route to the game, so just wanted to give some quick thoughts before the game tonight. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we deal with their build-up situation. Obviously, they've got Quartes and with what's his name, Morita out suspended, as well as Ugarte coming back, who he's a decent defensive midfielder. We're going to have to watch out for his ability to pass through the lines, and he's very good defensively. He's a bit rash though, so I'm not expecting him to tear up trees. So I think we will go fairly strong. I've got a lineup of Turner, Kieran Tierney, Kivior, Saliba, Tomiyasu, with Jorginho, Xhaka, and Fabio Vieira in midfield. Actually, and then no, you know what? I will stick with it because I do think he will start Bukayo. Bukayo next to Trossard and Nelson. I do think we'll make subs quite early. Hopefully, we'll take Bukayo off quite soon, as the tie won't be as hard as we're expecting the last game was. But we have to be very on guard because, as they showed in Lisbon, their ability to create transition situations through turnovers and really capitalize on those, we have to watch out. I think we have to be better as defensive set pieces. But Quartes is a big miss for them. So I do think, hopefully, we maybe even starts Jesus. The lineups will already be out as you guys are discussing this. So if we can see 60 minutes of Jesus, I think we win this game quite easily. Or even 60 minutes of Trossard, whoever it is, I do think we can win this. It's just a case of guarding against complacency, as was the case in the first leg. I think there were periods where we thought we were kind of a bit too good for them. I think as a fan base, I don't think that the team did, but as a fan base, I think we did have this this notion that we were just going to turn up and turn them over. So looking forward to a good game at the Emirates. Looking forward to talking to you guys on the review about it, and I'll see you soon. All right, thank you. Bye.
Well, his lineup was a bit wrong. Jesus, Saka's not in. Jesus is there, and the defense was pretty wrong. But not many expected this defense. I didn't think Gabriel would start or Zinchenko. But yeah, what's your prediction, George?
I think that it'll be a 3-1 game today. I think that I'm not in love with the transition control. I do think we're going to be caught out at least once. And I do think that, Pedro Goncalves is somebody that's going to break through and provide us a rare moment of fright. But I don't worry about the game generally. Like, I think we're going to camp in their own half. I hope and I do believe that, Gabriel Jesus actually will have a very good game. I think that he ends up getting something like 2 goals on his own. And I do think that Martinelli continues his red hot form. He's got 5 goals in his last 5 as well. So I think that he's going to score a goal. And look, I think that I hope that we see what I'd like to see from the midfield. I don't know if that's going to be true. And even if Zinchenko's deep and, Granit Xhaka is taking up the left back role, I don't love it. But I do hope that we make use of that left-hand side. And I think that Reece will have a good game as well, by the way. Like, I think that there's a lot of people that feel, his right wing shift versus left wing shift is going to be different. But for the most part, I think I'm okay with it. And I don't think we come away with any injuries, which is basically the demand that you have. Just get through, win the tie, no injuries, and play well because you're at home.
Yeah, I do agree with that we'll concede. I was going to go 3-1 as well, but I don't know. I will go 3-1. I do agree Jesus scores, and I think Martinelli does as well. I do think Vieira actually has a good game because I think in these types of games, our final ball specialists, as I'd say, do tend to perform. And we have been caught out a lot at the Emirates. We barely have any clean sheets there this season, which is very weird, considering we have the second best home record in the league. But we concede a lot at the Emirates. 11 out of 12 of our clean sheets have been away from home. So we have one clean sheet in the league this season at the Emirates. We have more in Europa, but we've played worse teams. So, yeah, I agree with George on the 3-1, and I do think our front line will have very good games. But that's it from us, I think. George, do you want to do your thing?
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Before you guys leave, you guys could smash a like on the video. I know it really helps out the channel. And of course, you can do the like, comment, subscribe thing, hit the bell for notifications to know when, in fact, we do upload. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of quick little preview, and you can catch all the boys' socials down below. So I'm at GeorgeV_AFC, and of course, Chris is at CKFTBL, and Curran's at CurranBOP. And we are Ball Over Passion here on YouTube, or at BOP Footy on the Twitter. So thank you so much, guys, and we'll probably catch you guys on the review tomorrow at some point. To review hopefully a nice easy win for the Arsenal and us going through to Europe. So have a good one, everybody, and we hope you enjoy the game. Peace.